Imagine this, you're 60 years old and you've saved 10 million rand for retirement. Now, the big question starts to emerge. Can you really retire? How much can you safely spend each month? Will your money last as long as you need it to? And what about taxes? How can you minimize them? Most importantly, if something should happen to you, what would happen to your family? Would they be financially secure? In this video, we'll tackle these crucial questions head on. We'll dive into detailed contingency planning, explore different tax strategies, and understand the dynamics of retirement income planning, and uncover what we like to call the aha moment that illuminates the path to a secure and enjoyable retirement. Every decision you make today will have a lasting impact on all the other decisions in your life, creating a roadmap for your future. Join me as we walk through these hypothetical scenarios together, providing insight and strategies in retirement. So sit back, relax, and let's get started on your journey to a well-planned retirement. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Family Wealth channel. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Hardy Swart, Certified Financial Planning Professional and the Director at Family Wealth Custodians. Please note that the information presented in this video today is hypothetical and intended for educational purposes only. It does not constitute personal financial advice. Each individual's financial situation is unique, and it's important to consult with a certified financial planning professional or a relevant financial professional for you to receive tailored advice that meets your unique situation and needs. Let's take a moment to discuss the critical transition in your financial journey. It's that pivotal moment when you move from the accumulation phase, where your focus is on saving, to the distribution phase, where you begin to draw from your nest egg, the nest egg that you've built over a lifetime. Suddenly, the mindset shifts from save, save, save to how do I spend what I've saved? This realization can be overwhelming. Questions start to flood in. What if the market drops? How much can I safely withdraw from my portfolio? How will my withdrawals affect my taxes? How will my decisions today impact my financial security over the next 20, 30 years? You might feel isolated when faced with making these critical decisions alone. This is what we call aha moment. The purpose of the video is to help you understand how all these variables interact and how your decisions today will affect your future. Whether you're a couple of years away from retirement or just entering retirement, or whether you've been retired for many years, this video is packed with valuable insights. I'm excited to guide you through this process and help you along this journey and provide you with important information that will help you on your decision-making process. Alright, so let's start by setting the scene for our discussion today. We're looking at a hypothetical couple from Gauteng. Both of them are more or less 60 years old and they are considering retirement. Their main question is, can we retire now? They've managed to save up 10 million rand and are feeling tired of the rat race. With their kids having left home, they're ready to leave the hustle and bustle of Gauteng and move to the serene Western Cape to enjoy their retirement. The next big question is, if we retire today, how much can we comfortably spend? It's not just about spending money, it's about maintaining a sustainable lifestyle and keeping pace with inflation, and ensuring that you have enough funds for future medical expenses and to avoid running out of money in the future. In this example, we'll explore a dynamic spending strategy that adjusts for different phases of retirement. So in our example today, I would like to introduce you to John and Sally Simpson. So John and Sally are both 60 years of age, and they would like an active withdrawal strategy when it comes to retirement. That means that for the first couple of years, let's say 10 years after retirement, they would like to withdraw about 600k per year. The reason for that is they want to spend a little bit more on traveling and enjoying life while they still have the energy to do so. The next couple of years, so from age 71 to about 78, they would like to withdraw an income, what we call the moderate years, of about 480,000 Rand per year. So the final phase of their retirement, their active retirement strategy, is what we call the quiet years. So here they plan to withdraw an income of roughly about 300,000 Rand a year. This is just to cover their basic necessities. And the idea is that they might not have the energy to travel the world and do the stuff that they want to do in the earlier years of retirement. For this example, we also used a life expectancy of approximately 90 years for both John and Sally. Now, this is very difficult, and there's various ways of calculating life expectancy, but for our purpose, we're just going to use a flat 90 years. One of the biggest mistakes we see in retirement planning is when one spouse doesn't consider the impact of the other spouse predeceasing them. This can lead to significant increases in taxes and a decrease in income, especially if you're relying on both spouses' income in retirement. We're going to explore these different scenarios to help you understand the complexities involved. Our goal is to get you thinking and connecting the dots. We've worked with thousands of families over the years, and while we can't cover every possible situation, we want to highlight the importance of making informed decisions. Remember, these decisions you make today often have long-term consequences. You might not be apparent for you today, but 10, 20 years from now, it will all make sense. Remember, these decisions often have long-term consequences that might not be apparent for 10 or 20 years. So let's dive into the income goals again, using the active, moderate, and quiet phases. During your active years, you'll likely spend more. As you slow down, your expenses may decrease, but you'll still enjoy activities like dining out. In your quiet years, you might find yourself spending more time at home with fewer expenses outside of the necessary medical visits. These figures will be adjusted for inflation. For the purpose of the example, we will use an inflation rate of about 6%. The approach helps us to ensure financial security throughout retirement, allowing you to enjoy a lifestyle you've worked for. Our main goal with this video is to get you thinking. Let's take a look at their investments. John has approximately 4 million Rand in his retirement portfolio. He's sitting in a retirement annuity, and he's got an investment plan of about approximately 3 million Rand. Where Sally, on this side, has a retirement fund or retirement annuity of approximately 2 million Rand, and in her investment plan, she's got 1 million Rand lying there. Then, combined, they've got their joint house. This is their primary house sitting in Gauteng, and this is where they live. But this we see as a lifestyle asset, since they have to have somewhere to physically live. What's important to note in this example we have is that most of their funds is sitting in retirement beneficial accounts, such as retirement annuity. Now, the thing about these accounts is, while you're saving for retirement, you've got a direct tax benefit, since every contribution you make, you'll get a tax deduction. But when you get to retirement, and once you start withdrawing from your retirement portfolio, then you're going to be taxed at your marginal rate on the income that you withdraw from these funds. Ideally, when we work with clients, we'd like to have, when we look at their portfolio, and especially when it comes to withdrawing in retirement, we actually would like to see a much more tax diversified structure. That means where you are withdrawing income from different sources. Let's say a rental income, also then a retirement portfolio, but then you also might have sources of income such as a tax-free savings account, or might be an endowment, because all of these structures help you to maximize the tax saving that you get when you get to retirement. If you're in that 10 million range, similar to what John and Sally is, then it makes sense to withdraw your income from your retirement fund and then from your investments. But if you're in a higher sort of income bracket, or you've got a much bigger retirement portfolio, then it becomes crucial to diversify across different tax treatments to minimize your tax burden in retirement. In such a situation, we'll start considering maybe investing a part of your portfolio in an endowment in South Africa or maybe abroad, or increasing the tax-free savings as you approach retirement. So there are multiple strategies to consider, but the important thing is you want to maximize your tax saving in retirement. So the first step in the retirement income planning process is allocation. Allocation is all about ensuring that your investment portfolio aligns with your risk tolerance and retirement goals. Too much risk might cause you to withdraw from your investments during market downturns, jeopardizing your retirement plans. Your asset allocation will also have a massive impact on the returns that you earn throughout retirement. At Family Wealth Custodians, we conduct a comprehensive risk tolerance analysis, and we also do a financial capacity analysis to determine what your unique risk profile is. And based on your risk profile, we'll recommend a combination of funds and asset allocation for you to achieve your overall goals. For the purpose of our example, we will assume that John and Sally both have a moderately aggressive investment profile. So moderately aggressive risk profile means that someone that understands or has a fair degree of understanding of how markets move and someone that's willing to take a degree of risk. However, when we look at risk profiling, there are many different variations, and we'll explore this in future videos. So please keep watching the Family Wealth YouTube channel, and we'll give you much more information on different risk profiles and asset allocation. Okay, so the second step in the income planning process is all about income planning specifically. Once your risk profile is determined and your assets have been allocated, the next step in this process is to develop a robust income plan. This includes determining how much you can withdraw annually while maintaining your standard of living, keeping up with inflation, and covering medical expenses later in life. Effective tax planning is an ongoing process throughout your retirement. In South Africa, the tax implications of your retirement income can significantly impact your financial well-being. Although we have divided this process into 3 steps, the reality is that it is actually very much intertwined. Allocation, income planning, and tax planning is almost done simultaneously when we look at income planning for your retirement. So, coming back to our example of John and Sally, if we look at their portfolio and their requirement, or they would like to retire at age 60, then we've compiled 6 different scenarios of what could potentially be once they get to retirement. So all of the return scenarios that we've come up with is, of course, depending on their risk profile and asset allocation. But like I said, they have a moderate risk profile, so they're willing to take a bit more risk. But just for the purpose of our example, if we look at a return rate of 7% per year, also taking into consideration that we're sitting with an inflation rate of 6%, then in scenario 1, their retirement is only about 66% funded. That means in their late 70s, they'll run out of capital. In the second scenario, if we're looking at an 8% return, with the same facts in place, then their retirement is about 73% funded. And then in the third scenario we've got here, that we're looking at a 9% return with the same sort of factors, taking into consideration they've got this active withdrawal strategy where they've got their active years and then end up with their quiet years later on in life. Then their portfolio is about 81% funded. Then if we look at the next scenario, and we're looking at a little bit higher return, so we're looking at a return rate of about 10% in this scenario, then their portfolio is about 89% funded. And if we take it all the way to the right, and we see their requirement would be, if they want to retire at age 60 and have enough money to carry them through retirement, they're going to need an annual rate of return of approximately 12%, which is a quite high rate. Might be attainable, but it's very difficult to say. But that's their minimum requirement. And you can see in this situation, if they're able to get a return of 12% per year, take into consideration that inflation is sitting at 6%, then their retirement will be fully funded. All right, so going on to the next example that we have here. And this example, I think, is much more aligned with their specific risk profile and asset allocation. So in this example, we're looking at a net return on their capital in retirement of about 10% in this one, and it goes all the way to 12%. So the fact that they've got a moderate aggressive risk profile means that they can take a slightly more risk than your average retired investor. But even taking that into consideration, here we can see if they get a net return of about 10%, then their retirement's only about 89% funded. Where if we look on this side of the diagram, if they get a net return of 12%, yes, then they'll have enough money to keep them through retirement to that life expectancy of approximately 90 years that we worked with. So in this scenario, they'll have more than enough money to carry them all the way through retirement. But like I say, this is an active process, and there's a lot of factors that are constantly changing in these scenarios and in real life. So it's important to constantly reevaluate your progress and see where are you with your specific retirement plan. Here's the big takeaway from this example. In these simulations, if they decide to retire at age 60, then they are delving into their capital in the early years. If you consider that for the first couple of years, they're withdrawing about 600,000 Rand per year, this means that it equates to roughly about 6% withdrawal rate. And furthermore, if inflation is also sitting at 6%, that means that their portfolio should deliver at least 12% just for them to not delve into their capital. So this puts them in a risky situation, especially in the beginning years when account balances are decreasing due to their higher withdrawal rate. Furthermore, this exposes them to the sequence of returns risk, which is the danger of retaking income from your portfolio during market downturns. If you withdraw 6% and the market drops by 14%, then your portfolio loses 20% in that year. For example, if you start with 10 million Rand and it drops to 8 million Rand, to maintain the same income level for the next year, you will need to increase the percentage that you withdraw. This risk means that losing money in the first few years can drastically reduce your chances of a successful retirement. You can visit our YouTube channel for more information on the sequence of return risk and how to manage it during the first couple of years in retirement. So before we get to the income options at retirement, I think it's important to note that South Africa's retirement savings system is changing, with the implementation date of the new system, the two-pot system, effective on the 1st of September 2024. The intention of the new two-pot retirement savings system in South Africa is to promote the preservation of retirement fund investments until the member reaches retirement, while also allowing them to access to a portion of their accumulated savings during their working years. So I believe this is going to be a game changer for the retirement industry, because it's going to help, this legislation is going to help that people have more money and that money is actually preserved right into retirement. But we'll cover the two-pot system in much more detail in a future video on our channel. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification button to not miss any of the information that we're going to share. Converting your retirement portfolio to a life or a living annuity. This can be a critical decision that can significantly impact your financial security and lifestyle in retirement. Let's explore what these annuities are, how they work, and which option might be the best for your unique circumstances. First, let's clarify what a life or a living annuity is. An annuity is a financial product that provides a steady income stream, typically for life. There are two main types of annuities, a life annuity and a living annuity. A life annuity, this option provides a guaranteed income for the rest of your life, regardless of how long you live. What normally happens is an insurance company would take the investment risk and guarantee your income. So when it comes to life annuities and living annuities, both of them have different pros and cons. So we'll first look at a life annuity. So the pros of a life annuity is the fact that you've got a guaranteed income for life. Furthermore, there's no investment risk. The reason for that is that the insurer actually takes over the investment and they manage it on your behalf. So they manage the risk side of it as well. And then the final pro is that it's got a very predictable stream of income. So when it comes to financial planning and cash flow planning, it helps a lot. The cons of a life annuity is the fact that it's much less flexible. That means that once you're in a product, you can't withdraw your funds. The other thing is that you actually lose control over your investment. Once you've seeded, once you've given your investment over to the life company or the insurer, then they actually control it. And in exchange for that, they'll give you an income. And then, of course, you have the potential for low return. So let's say you buy into a living annuity and interest rates give you 6 or 7% and you get a 7% annuity for the rest of your life, but the market over the next 5 years will give you 15%, then you're actually losing out. But that's the sort of risk you need to take or consider when considering a life annuity. And then the final thing, which I think is important when it comes to a life annuity, is many of these annuities, if you pass away, your spouse might get a percentage, let's say 30, 40 or 50% of your income. But if your spouse also passes away, then the income ceases. So that means that, let's say you annuity and then shortly after yourself and your spouse pass away, then your children will get nothing from that specific product. So when it comes to a living annuity, there's also pros and cons. So when we look at a living annuity, the biggest pros is the fact that you've flexibility and control. So you can decide where you want to invest your investment, or together with your financial planner, you can invest into multiple strategies and so forth. Furthermore, there's of course the potential for higher returns, but there's also the risk of lower returns. So it depends on. The other big advantage is the fact that you can adjust your income over time. So if there's a period where you need a higher income, you actually increase your income for that year or two. But then if you go into a period where you actually need less income, then you can easily just adjust it at the decide to withdraw less. And then the final big pro of a living annuity is the fact that you can actually bequeath the living annuity to your children or your spouse or a third party. So that's nice. So let's say in the early years of retirement, something happens, spouse pass away, then your children could actually be the beneficiaries or be bequeathed these living annuities. The cons of a living annuity is the fact that you're taking on the investment risk. So let's say you retire and you purchase your living annuity, and shortly after retirement, the markets go down quite significantly, and we go into a period of recession for a couple of years. Then that will have a significant impact on your retirement. Furthermore, there's always the potential that you might outlive your savings, where your living annuity can't keep up with your income needs, and you actually might run out of capital. And then of course the third thing is with a living annuity is it needs to be actively managed. So you constantly need to review your portfolio and make sure you're in the right asset classes, in the right funds to meet your unique goals. So choosing between a life and a living annuity is a significant decision that depends on your financial situation, risk tolerance, and your retirement goals. For the purpose of our example, the couple chose to convert their retirement savings into a living annuity. Alright, so let's look at the tax implications of their decision. So firstly, when it comes to a living annuity at retirement, they can opt to take a lump sum. So upon retirement, John and Sally can take up to 1/3 of their retirement annuity as a lump sum. This lump sum will be taxed according to the South African Retirement Fund Lump Sum Benefit Tax Table. That's quite a tongue twister. So when we look at the tax table, if they should decide to withdraw 1/3 of their retirement funds, then the first 500,000 rand that they withdraw is tax-free. The next 200,000 is taxed at 18%, and so on and so on. So when looking at our example for John and Sally, if John should decide to withdraw his full 1/3 from his 4 million rand retirement annuity, then he can withdraw up to 1.33 million rand. In Sally's example, should she opt to withdraw her 1/3, then she can withdraw up to 666,000 rand. So what that implicates, what that means is, should John decide to withdraw the full amount, then he'll pay tax of about 207,000 rand. And in Sally's case, if she should withdraw the full 1/3 from her retirement funds, then she'll pay tax of about 30,000 rand approximately. So for the purpose of our example, both John and Sally opted to only withdraw the tax-free portion of their lump sum benefit. So that means on the 500,000 rand that they each withdraw, they'll pay 0 tax. Okay, so if we go back to John and Sally's example, since they both opted to withdraw the 500,000 rand tax-free from their retirement portfolios, and they've also opted to invest this 500,000 rand each with their saving component or their investment plans, this now means that John has 3.5 million rand in his retirement or his living annuity portfolio, and 3.5 million rand in his discretionary portfolio. And the same with Sally. Sally now has 1.5 million rand in her discretionary portfolio and 1.5 million rand in her living annuity portfolio. So what we want to look at now is what is the benefit of how do you withdraw your income? Should they withdraw their full income from their living annuity and or then be taxed at their marginal tax rate, or should they rather consider a combination of withdrawing their income from their living annuity but also withdrawing a portion of their investment plans? So when we look at the withdrawing income from a living annuity, it's super important to note that the income that you withdraw will be taxed at your own marginal tax rate for the relevant year of assessment. So when we do withdraw from a living annuity, we always look to keep it as low as possible in order to stay in a lower income tax bracket. So when it comes to withdrawing capital or income from your investment plan, it's important to note that the capital that you withdraw will be subject to capital gains tax. But the capital gains tax is calculated if you take the proceeds from your growth and subtract your base cost. And what's also important to note in this situation is that there's an annual capital gains exemption or exclusion of 40,000 Rand per year. Furthermore, the other income that you withdraw from your investment plan would be things such as dividends. And when it comes to dividends is subject to dividend withholding tax, which is taxed at 20%, which might be significantly lower than your own personal tax. And of course, the dividend withholding tax is paid by the company, so the money in your hands is effectively tax-free. Furthermore, if we look at interest, the interest that you'll earn on your investment plan is that income will form part of your normal tax implications. However, there's an annual interest exemption which currently stands at about 23,800 Rand for individuals under the age of 65 for the current year of assessment. So it's important to balance these withdrawals in order to maximize the tax-free portion or the lower taxed portion of your income or your income withdrawal at retirement. So combining your living annuity withdrawals with your investment plan withdrawals would mean that you potentially pay a much lower tax at retirement. So this example of John and Sally is a very basic illustration of what the tax implications might be. But oftentimes clients will come into Family Wealth Custodians with much more holistic or complex retirement income needs. Then what we'll do is we'll sit with our in-house tax and accounting specialist to effectively and efficiently plan their unique income needs and to see how we can maximize their savings and their tax savings in retirement. In the real world, when we're sitting down with you for a review, let's say you retire at 60, we will discuss your portfolio performance, the economic forecast, and your overall financial situation, including your actual spending. We'll track your progress over time, and you will have digital access to your own plan. If your portfolio sees significant growth, let's say 30 or 40% over 3 or 4 years before retirement, then we might adjust your strategy and you might be able to retire a bit earlier. So now let's take a look at the proactive or interactive zone. Our clients love this feature because it allows them to log in and adjust their own retirement scenarios. For example, you can see the impact of, let's say, working a couple of extra years before retirement. Suppose that John says, I don't hate my job and I'm not sure whether I'm ready to retire. So I'll probably extend my working days or working years until age of 65. With all the same variables we've considered, this decision would have a dramatic impact on his retirement, and it might mean that there won't be a retirement shortfall anymore. Conversely, let's say John is absolutely fed up with his work, he hates his boss, and he wants to retire immediately at age 60. An outcome of his retirement and the probability of success will probably be a lot lower. To improve this, we could lower his spending, especially in the active years or the first couple of years in retirement, or he might decide to take on a bit more risk, which is not necessarily the best option in his situation. Realistically, people tend to spend more in the initial years after retirement and less as time goes by. No one would expend exactly 600,000 Rand each year for the first 10 years after retirement. This is why it's crucial to stay connected to your unique financial plan and work with a financial advisor who understands your retirement planning needs. Well, in this process, we will perform an in-depth analysis annually to make sure that you are keeping up with inflation, that we've adjusted for market conditions and for your own unique spending. And this is an active process that will change every single year or even every 3 or 6 months. So it's important to make sure that you're up to date with your unique. So the next phase of our retirement income planning is the phase that we call what keeps you up at night. So this is when we really deeply engage with our clients to understand what are the biggest perceived risks they have when it comes to retirement income planning. So these are things like, what will happen to my portfolio should the market crash. It's also about what would happen if my portfolio keeps on going down. What happens if tax increases or there's changes in tax legislation? What's the impact of inflation on my portfolio, and would I be able to make it? And then also in South African context is the political instability. How does the political instability impact my portfolio? And then of course, one of the biggest things, one of the biggest concerns that we need to address when it comes to retirement planning, and specifically retirement income planning, is what is the long-term effect of rising medical costs and what the impact that would have on my portfolio. So it's super important that when sitting with a client that we work through this process and get to understand what are the things that really concern them and how can we address those concerns. Coming back to our example of John and Sally, and one of the questions we will get asked is, what is the impact of inflation on our portfolio? So if we take the same base or the same example, and we say that we're still working with an 8% return, but now we increase inflation from 6% to 7%, that will have a dramatic impact on their portfolio and their returns over the long term. So this is the type of things that I think is very important when sitting with a client, to ensure that, firstly, that their investments keep up with inflation. Alternatively, to decrease their spending or income needs to make sure that your capital outlasts you. Everything we discuss and analyze with clients is just a snapshot in time. Each year, circumstances change, portfolio values fluctuate, patterns vary, and personal goals evolve. Staying connected and regularly updating their retirement plan is essential. Retirement planning is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing process that requires regular adjustment. In conclusion, retiring in South Africa with 10 million rand requires careful planning and ongoing management. By understanding how your decisions today impact your future, you can achieve financial security and peace of mind in retirement. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to reach out. We're here to help you navigate the retirement journey. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful videos on financial planning.